What's up, everybody? So today we're talking about why I decided to join the United States Army. What's going down, guys? So how's it going? Me, Raymond J times infinity, just a simple guy with infinite possibilities. So we're back again with another video, and in today's video we're going to talk about why I joined the Army Reserves. Yeah, so jumping right into it, I graduated high school in May of 2016. Class of 2016 is when I graduated, and the summer after I graduated, so summer 2016, summer 16. You know, I was fresh out of high school, and you know, so me and one of my best friends, you know, we started hanging out pretty much like every day. You know, like it was summer, fresh out of high school. We were just kind of, you know, enjoying our summer, you know, before, you know, starting whatever it is that we were going to get into, such as college or whatever. And so, you know, we just started hanging out every day, you know, doing our thing, you know, and it was honest fun, you know, just hanging out, cruising around, doing random stuff, whatever. And then there came a time where, you know, we added a few more people to our group, as you know, that was hanging out every night. And so, and I'm not going to say nobody's names, or I'm not going to mention anything like that, just going to keep it as simple as possible. So anyways, we started hanging out more, and we had, like I said, we added a few more people to our group. And so, you know, every night we were just kind of hanging out, you know, every night just going out, you know, staying out late, you know, and then just that was it, just doing whatever the heck we would come up with. And so, you know, there came a night where, you know, simply cruising around and listening to music just wasn't cutting it no more for us, or whatever the case was. I mean, I don't know, like it just wasn't cutting, I guess. And so somebody had the bright idea of, you know, let's amp it up a little bit. Let's do something a little sketchy, do something that's gonna kind of get the blood pumping. Let's do something, you know, basically let's do something illegal. And so, you know, all of us were kind of like, I mean, I don't know, but, you know, I mean, eventually we were all just like, you know, well, I mean, when it depends, like, what do y'all want to do? And so homeboy had the idea of going to our local country club and, you know, riding around on the golf carts, you know, doing stuff like that. So, you know, so to the rest of us, you know, like me and my best friend, like we weren't bad kids in high school. I mean, sure, we may have been on like the class clown side type doing stuff, but we were never like bad kids, you know. And so doing stuff like this was never something that anybody from our hometown probably would have expected us to do. And so, but you know, we were down, and we all followed through. So, you know, we headed over there, and now here's the thing. The problem wasn't necessarily making the decision to do this. The actual problem was the fact that we went back 3 nights in a row. Like, you know, we went 3 nights in a row and got caught on the 3rd night, you know, because of the fact that we went one right after the other. So that was the dumb part. That was really what got us in trouble. But anyways, back to it. So the first night, you know, we went, you know, we got out some of the carts and we just kind of drove them up and down like this little dirt road that was right there by the course, you know, just kind of having a fun. It was only maybe like 15-20 minutes that we were out there, and, you know, we were all kind of scared, so we were like, all right, let's get out of here. So, you know, we put them back up, you know, and, you know, just got out of there. And then the next night, you know, then everybody wanted to go back. Everybody was like, let's go do it again, you know. So we were like, all right, you know, now this being the second time, you know, we already kind of had a little bit of experience with what was kind of going down. So, you know, we were kind of more down to stay out there longer. So, you know, so that we get the same ones out that we were able to unlock, you know, and we start riding them again. And now this time like I said, this time because we have a little bit more of that experience, kind of know what we're doing a little bit more, I guess. So now we start actually, you know, taking the carts onto the course, you know, and kind of cruising around on the course. Now, keep in mind, we're doing this in the middle of the night, and these things don't have headlights, and there's no, like, you know, street lights out there on the course. So, you know, this course is completely pitch black, you know, so like at the very most, all we have is just the little bit of night vision that our eyes can give us. And just cell phone lights, the lights on our cell phones. And so we're just kind of going off of that, doing whatever, cruising around. Now, here was the problem, was the fact that we couldn't see anything, So for anybody that doesn't know much about golf courses, kind of like I did at this time, around the hole, like where the actual hole is at, the grass is like a turf. It's like a fake turf patch, and I guess that turf is pretty expensive. So because we were driving around on all this stuff, it was tearing it all up pretty good. And so like I said, because it was nighttime, it was dark, we didn't see none of this happening as we were doing it. Had we have noticed this stuff the first time, we would have never went back. We would have been like, oh, we messed up, but we didn't see nothing like that. We were just driving these carts. Now, that's ultimately what got us caught, was because then when we went, because after that, the country club workers and owners, they noticed that there was damages done to the course, so that they knew something was going on. So then when we went back another night, on the third night, by this time the country club knew something was going on, so more than likely they contacted PD, and said like, hey, looks like somebody's been out here. Could you maybe have somebody patrol around overnight? So that, that's what I think. I don't know that that's what actually happened. That's just what I think happened. But anyways, so then after that night, we all link up again, and sure enough, everybody's like, yo, let's go back. Everybody's still on this. We're all still on this this high, and I'm like just having fun, I guess, I don't know. So we're all just like, yeah, let's go again. Nothing's happened so far. So we go back, we pull out the carts again and start doing our thing. Now, this last night, I think the other problem with the third night that we went back was the fact that we stayed out there so late. We went out there probably around like 11:30 at night, and we got caught by the police around 5:30ish. So yeah, so we were out there for a long time, the whole night pretty much. And had we left earlier, we probably wouldn't have gotten into the trouble we got into. But anyway, we'll get into that. So we were driving around forever and just having fun. And this time we're going all out, man. I'm talking, we're drifting on the grass, messing these patches up even more. We're riding the heck out of these carts, so we're hitting bumps and stuff. So we're knocking off the alignment on these things and messing up the tires and just. But like I said, at this time, it's dark and we're just kind of driving, we don't really notice what's going on to the actual course. So basically, eventually what happens is, I'm driving my cart, right? I'm on the actual course, not even on one of the paths. I'm on the course, just cruising, having fun. Next thing I know, from ahead of me, I see someone pop out from behind a tree, and a flashlight, this bright-ass flashlight, just shines right in my face. And so I stop, and I instantly knew it was a cop. I was like, oh man, this is a cop. We're caught. This is it. We're done. And so now I'm not the type of person that freaks out. So I just kind of knew, in the back of my mind, all right, stay calm. Just do what they ask. We'll get through this. So the police officer, he comes up to me. He's like, get out, and put your hands behind your back. So he cuffs me, and I'm just like, all right, my bad, whatever. Then, he asks, so he starts asking, the basic questions, what's your name, how old are you, who's all out here, things like that. They're trying to figure out what's going on. So then eventually what he does is he has me sit back in the cart, in the golf cart. So then he gets in the driver's side, so I'm sitting in the passenger side, cuffed. So he starts driving this cart back up to, the main building of the country club. And so we're driving up this path, and then we can hear, another golf cart, coming full speed straight towards us. So I hear it coming, and then eventually I see it, and I see that it's my best friend, and he's there, he's just there hauling straight towards us. And I'm just thinking to myself, don't do something stupid, man, don't do something stupid. And so sure enough, he comes, and he pulls off, in the movie Fast and Furious, the Tokyo Drift, that scene when they're racing in the city and they come drifting through that big crowd that's in the street. They do that long drift in between the crowd. That's what it looked like to me. He comes in, he's just just drifts, boom, and pulls up right next to me, just dust, everywhere. And he's just like, yo, bro, the cops are here. And so I'm trying to hold back my laugh, and I'm just like, yeah, I know. And then the cop, he gets his flashlight and just flashes it in his face. And so my friend is just like, oh, damn, like, he didn't know what to say. And then I was trying not to laugh. Like, it just looked funny the way it happened. Like, we're like, I don't know, it's just funny. And so then he gets his other set of cuffs him. And then eventually there's like another another one or two cops that showed up and got the other guys. And so, they bring us back up to the top, and they start asking, like, the questions, like, has you guys got any alcohol? Has you guys got any drugs? Which none of us did. None of that was involved. And when I tell this story, that's something a lot of people think, is that they think, like, well, were y'all drunk? Were y'all high? Like, no, like, me and my friends, we weren't into that stuff, never have been. And at least me and this friend, and we weren't on nothing like that. We were just being dumb, but they started asking us questions like that. They had to search us. All I had on me was my phone and my wallet. And so we get arrested. Now me and my friend were 18, so we get arrested, and they put us in the back of the car, and then they take us down to PD, and then of course they do everything from there, reading your rights. They had us make our statements, and everything like that. Now, at this point, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we haven't slept all night, so I'm tired as heck. And so here's the main problem, is that I was in my grandma's car. Like, I wasn't in my own car. I didn't have my own car. I was in my grandma's car. And my dad and grandma didn't know that I was out that night. They didn't know that I had left that night. So here's the thing. I was supposed to go to work at 6 in the morning. I didn't show up, obviously. And so my boss, she's trying to call me. She's trying to call me, blowing up my phone because I don't answer. So then she calls my dad. And then my dad's like, well, he's not even here. So then he shows and he sees that the car's not even here. So then he was like, okay, obviously he went out last night and he just didn't come home. Now my dad, he's a chill guy. So I mean, he didn't think nothing at first. He thought that I just probably spent the night at went out with a friend and probably ended up just staying at their house and didn't wake up. I just overslept at a friend's house. That's what he's kind of thinking at first, because he knew that I was hanging out with my good friend. I don't want to say his name, so I'll just make up a name. I'm just gonna call him John. I'm just gonna say his name's John. So so he knew that I had been hanging out with John, for a good while now. So he was like, let me go see if he's at John's house. Maybe he just overslept over there. So he gets in his car, and he takes off over there to my friend's house, to John's house, and he shows up, and he sees that not even the car's there at that house. So he's like, well, maybe he just barely left. Maybe I caught him, or maybe he woke up on time. Or maybe he just woke up and took off. But he wants to make sure, so he goes, knocks on the door, and John's mom answers. And here's another thing, here's another side note. John snuck out also the night before to come hang out with us. So keep that in mind. So then my dad, so John's mom answers the door, and my dad's like, hey, I just wanted to ask, just to make sure, like, if my son Raymond, if he was here last night and maybe stayed the night or anything, because he didn't come home. And she was like, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's been home all night. So then John's mom, she's just like, well, let me go ask him and see if he knows anything. So she goes to his room, and obviously he's not there. So then she comes back and she tells my dad, well, John's not even here either. So then my dad was like, okay. So now at this moment, it's kind of obvious that we're together, me and John. So now at this moment, now they're like, well, what's happening? Like, where are they? So now they kind of start thinking worse things. They start thinking that maybe we got in a car accident somewhere, or we just went missing. Like, I don't know. It never crossed their minds that we got arrested, though, because of the fact that we weren't those type of people. And so so my dad's at John's house for a good while, with his mom, trying to call each other, trying to see where we're at. And then eventually my dad, he's like, well, I'm gonna go take off. I'm gonna go meet up with Raymond's mom and see if maybe she knows anything. So then my dad goes and talks to my mom. So my mom's trying to call me, my dad's trying to call me, and so then my dad starts hitting up, my other friends, a lot of my other good friends, seeing if they know anything or if they know where I've been, and they're all saying no, like, I don't know. So then I have some of my friends trying to get a hold of me. And this entire time I'm sitting at PD and my phone's just blowing up, but I can't use it because they took it away from me. It's just sitting there on their desk. And so, and I mean, and the cops, the cops are like, they're 18, they're adults, so I mean, they're on their own, kind of messed up, but I mean, it is what it is. And so yeah, so then eventually, my parents, they don't know what else to do, so they call PD and they ask if there's been anything involving our names or my name or my friend's name. And so, and so then the PD tells them, yeah, actually, matter of fact, those guys were arrested this morning. So then my parents are just like, what? So like my parents are now tripping, like, what did this guy do? Like, what? Like, they didn't know what I did at all. Because, PD didn't tell him nothing. All they could tell him was that he was arrested. You'll get more info later when he calls you. So that was it. So then eventually, me and John, we get put in the car from PD, and they take us over to the county jail, and they take us in. We start getting kind of booked in. We get booked into holding, and so we're sitting in holding for a long time. And I started falling asleep. They put us in our own cells, and there's like a 3-foot bench that's in the cell. And so I tried to lay. I was like, because we were up all night. At this point we had been up all night. I hadn't slept at all. So now I'm sitting on this bench, and I'm trying to lay down on this 3-foot long bench. And I mean, I'm not that tall of a guy, but it's still hard, And so I'm trying to sleep on this bench. And I guess the jailers, they saw that I was trying to like sleep. So I mean, I guess, they were pretty cool, to notice that, and they brought me a mattress to sleep on. So they were like, here, so you can lay down. So I was like, all right. So I lay down on the floor, and I slept like the whole day. They didn't come and take me out of that holding cell until about, to put me with population. They were going to put me with population. They came and got me out around like 6, maybe 7 o'clock in the evening. And so they take me to go take off all my civilian clothes, and I got to change into the inmate clothes. And then, so I'm doing this, and then I asked the jailer, I'm like, hey, is my friend still here? And he tells me, he's like, nah, dude, he got bailed out like 2 hours ago, when I was asleep. So then I was just like, damn. And I got that moment, like, everything just instantly got harder for me mentally, because like this whole time I was kind of thinking like me and him were gonna be together, like we're gonna get through this together. So now I'm just like, I'm on my own. So finally they gave me my charges. I was charged with burglary of a building and criminal mischief. The bail for one charge was $5,000, and the bail for the other charge was $7,000. So my total bail was $12,000. Now they gave me all that info. Told me they gave me 2-minute phone calls to make arrangements. So I called my dad, and I told him, I didn't tell him what I did. I didn't tell him what was going on. All I told him was, these are my charges, and this is my bail amount. And me knowing my family's financial situation, like I knew that they didn't have that kind of money or nothing. So, I expected the answer, and my dad told me, he was just like, well, I mean, just prepare to be in there for a little bit, because we're gonna have to get that money together, So I was just like, yeah, I understand. And I mean, and I'm 18, I'm just a kid, like I'm tripping, like like I just don't even know what to think. And then finally the jailer gives me like this tub with all my stuff in it, and they give me a mattress, and he takes me over to population. So then we go to this cell, and it's a cell with like 10 other guys in there, and they were all way older than me. I mean, they were all at least over 25 at least. So I walk in, and they all look at me, and like I'm 18, I'm just the youngest kid in there. So they all look at, like, they all give me looks like, this is like, this guy's young as heck, And so, I see an open bunk, and I just kind of go set up, and I just kind of sit there. And then eventually one of the guys comes up, and he's like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 18, and all of them were just like, man, like, you're just a kid. Like, why are you in here? Like, what'd you do? And so I told them what I did and what my charges were. But when I told them what I did, they all started laughing, because they were like, they were laughing because it was like, like, that's funny, like, that sounds fun, and like, that's funny that y'all got caught, but like, and they were just like, but that's a stupid thing to get caught up for. And I was like, yeah, I know, like I was just tripping. I didn't really know what to think. But I mean, honestly, shout outs to those guys that were in there, because I mean, they really, they helped me understand the system for one, as well as, you know, they were the ones that were telling me, you know, like, you know, you're super young, you know, like you shouldn't, you know, like they were telling me like you could have gotten locked up for something way worse, and they were like, you know, so I mean, you know, doing something as dumb as this and as harmless as this was, look at what it's gotten you as far as your charges. Both these charges were both felonies, and so they were like, with as harmless as it was, you know, still look what it got you. And so they were like, you know, it's not worth doing anything, you know, dumb and illegal. You know, they're like, no matter how harmless it may seem to you, you know. And I mean, until it wasn't until then that I actually realized, you know, that that's facts, you know, that like, you know, you, as harmless as something may be, you know, like the charges that you get charged with and what you can be convicted of, you know, that's what messes you up, not what you did. You know, because I mean, I told you this guy's story, like you guys are probably thinking to yourself, like, oh, that was like harmless fun, you know, like it was just something stupid, they got in trouble for it. Now had I, like, those were two felonies, they were both felonies. One of them got dropped down to a misdemeanor after a while, but one of them was still a felony. So either way, anybody who knows, having a felony on your record, you know, makes it nearly impossible to get a good job in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so even though it was harmless fun and something just dumb and stupid, the charge and what the conviction is what messes up your life, not the actual choice that you made. I mean, the choice that you made, yeah, but you get what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is that even though you think it's harmless fun, it's not hurting nobody else, it's still gonna mess up your life. So that's my advice to you guys, to think about that. Now, I'm glad that it happened to me when I was so young, because now I realize that the smallest thing can get you in some serious stuff. So that's that. And so, you know, like I say, shout out to those guys for really kind of helping me through it and kind of explaining to me, like, because like all these guys were like, they were just in there getting ready to like being shipped off to different facilities for like to serve like 5 year plus sentences, you know. So they were all telling me, like, you know, like, look, man, you don't want to do that, you know, you don't want to mess up your life, you're still young, you know. They're like, if you make it out of this, you know, take care of yourself. If they put you on there, because they were all telling me since I was a first offender and everything like that, they were like, you'll probably get probation, you know, and just serve that properly and take care of yourself, this and that. And so, yeah. So I was in jail for like 3 days, I think. It was like 3 days. I wasn't expecting to get out that quick, but I was glad that I did. My family was able to pull together enough money from themselves, as well as my boss from my private security job, and then another family friend. They all helped pitch in so they could afford to give me a bond. So they got me a bail bond, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's where the bail bondsman pays your full bond to the court or to the jail, however that works, and they only charge you, the suspect, they only charge you 10% of the bond. So I only had to pay like $1,200 back to the bail bondsman. So that's how that worked. So she got me out of jail, and then I had to just keep up with her. I had to get a job to pay her back, everything like that. Now, here's where the Army thing came into play now, was, so having these these charges were just pending. Like, I hadn't had court. They told me that I would just get some sort of notification, whether it be a call or a letter in the mail telling me, you know, like when court was, when to be there, this and that. So that was kind of it. They were just like, you know, we'll let you know. But until I was going to have court, these charges were still just pending on my record. So here's the thing. Being charged with something, even though you're not convicted yet, you're going to get treated like you're convicted of those charges. Because anytime, like, you know, trying to apply for jobs and stuff like that, you know, like they would do the background checks, and it's like, you know, well, you've got these charges on you, like, you know, what's this about, you know? And so I'd have to be like, I mean, I'm not convicted, you know, but in the employer's eyes, it's like, well, yeah, but what if we hire you and then you end up getting convicted, you know, then we're gonna have to fire you, you know? So they were like, you know, I'd rather just hire somebody that I know doesn't have that possibility of needing to be fired later on. So that was like, that's how employers see it, you know what I'm saying? They're like, you know, I don't want to hire you and then you end up getting convicted, because then I'm going to have to let you go. They were like, I'd rather just hire somebody and then I can train them and I know that they're going to stay. That type of deal. So that's how the employers are looking at it. So, I mean, they treat you like like you're already convicted of it, you know, and I mean, you can't really blame them. I mean, I understood where they were coming from and I understood why. And so, you know, that made it tough. So, so then one day I saw that, I saw an ad for the Army Reserves and I saw, you know, like getting the benefits, you know, this and that. And so I just kind of started looking into it. And then that was when I saw, I don't know if I read it somewhere or someone told me this, I don't remember. But somehow I found out, or somehow I'd heard, you know, that joining the military while you have pending charges, like, because you can join, at least for the Army, you can join with a waiver, you know, basically where you have to go under like the investigation and everything, like through the Army and get all these interviews with commanders and first sergeants. And, you know, if they accept you off the waiver, you have to get a waiver, but if they accept you, you know, it can kind of help for like the court to see that, you know, that you're now joining the military. And so it can help them to either reduce or even drop your charges completely. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna take that chance. And so, because the biggest thing was I didn't want the felonies on my deal. Like, I was like, even if they can just lower it, they can just be just misdemeanors, that's fine, you know, but I don't want felonies. So I went and I talked to a recruiter, and, you know, he was like, all right, well, I mean, let's see what we can do, you know. So, I mean, it took a total of 7 months for my recruiter to be able to get me enlisted. So from the first day that I first talked to my recruiter to the day I went and swore in, it was about 7 months. You know, my recruiter, you know, he had to constantly be in contact with, you know, the county attorney, the district attorney, the court here in my hometown, you know, and the PD, getting everything together. Because for one, you know, he had to submit the waiver to the Army itself, to where, because first of all, the Army had to accept me in the first place, you know. So they look at my charges, they see what it's going to be, and basically the way it worked was, it's like they look at it and they're like, okay, if he's convicted of this, you know, will we, you know, can we still use him, I guess you could say. And so my charges weren't too serious to where they wouldn't take me, so they were like, you know, yeah, we'll take him, you know, even if he gets these charges convicted on him. So I got it, you know, so they were like, we'll take him. So then the district attorney, the one that was handling my case, sets up a meeting with me and my recruiter. So then, you know, my recruiter tells me, like, dress nice, you know, we're gonna go see what this is about. So then he picks me up and we go to the DA's office, and, you know, she's kind of like introduces herself, you know, and she kind of asks me, like, so like, what's my plan with doing this, you know, and I just kind of told her, you know, what my plan was at that time as to what I was kind of looking at doing. And, you know, so she told me, she was like, yeah, she was like, well, the other day I was, you know, looking over your case and she was like, and I don't think it's a case that's even worth messing with to begin with. So she was like, so, you know, I dismissed the case altogether. So basically what that was like, you know, she didn't just like reduce or drop my charges. She dropped the entire case, meaning that me and all my friends that were involved, you know, like the whole case was just dropped. So now none of us had anything to really worry about at all. The whole case was just dismissed. So now that's not just because she didn't, like, it wasn't like just because of me, you know. I mean, I honestly think that the case itself was kind of pointless, you know. So I think she really just didn't want to mess with it. But but definitely me joining the military did help, I feel like. And so yeah, so she dismissed the entire case, and my recruiter was like, all right. Now at this moment, I could have easily just looked at my recruiter and been like, all right, see ya, homie, thanks for the help, and said, never mind, I don't want to enlist. Because at any moment, from the day you talk to a recruiter to the moment you're about to enlist, because they even ask you in the swear room, they say, if any of you don't actually want to do this, this is your last chance to walk away. No hard feelings. Like, it's your choice. You know what I mean? And nobody did that with me, but that was the thing, was like, I could have at that moment, like, once I found out the entire case was dropped, I could have just been like, I bet, you know, like, I ain't doing this no more. but you know, after the 7 months of like meeting with the recruiter and learning the process and learning what was going to happen and learning all the benefits, learning all of this, like, I eventually did actually want to join. You know, because sure, when I first decided to do this, it was because of the fact that I wanted to clear my record, you know, not because I actually wanted to join. But during that 7-month process, you know, it made me actually want to be a part of it. And, you know, and I don't regret it, you know, in any way. Like, I'm actually glad that I did. You know, I look at my pictures and, you know, it's cool to see that, like, I accomplished something, you know, like really big in my life. So, I mean, it was definitely worth it, and I do not regret it in any way. So those are some big questions that I do get asked, you know, was it worth it? You know, like, do you regret doing it? Like nah, I don't regret it, and it was definitely worth it. So ultimately that's why I joined, was because I got into some trouble, and I didn't want that to be my lifestyle, nor did I want that to be the type of person that I was seen as. So I took that extra step to make people know that that's not who I was, you know, because getting in that kind of trouble, you know, makes people see you differently. So that's my story as to why and how I got into the military to begin with. So that's what actually happened. Now, funny little side note, when I went to basic and all my battle buddies started asking, like, you know, so like, why'd you join? And I told them, you know, I joined because I wanted to clear my record, you know, and I told them, like, I got arrested. I told them I was charged with burglary of a building and criminal mischief, right? You hear those charges, like you hear burglary and criminal mischief, you instantly think something like serious, like some type of serious burglary. And so I told them that I robbed a bank. Like, I told my battle buddies in basic, like, yeah, man, like, I was part of this like mini heist, like me and a group of friends, or me and a group of guys, you know, we got together and pulled off this heist pretty much. Like, we robbed a bank, and one of the guys got caught up and snitched on us, so that's how I got in trouble. And I told him, I was like, so I got the option of either jail or join the army. So I chose the army, you know. And so I rode with that story all through that. So I mean, you know, let me know in the comments below. I might do a full story time on like the actual story that I told them, and how, like, I wrote it out all through basic training. Like, let me know if y'all want to hear that. And if any of my old battle buddies are watching this, you know, if you didn't know, now you know. That's what happened. You know, I didn't actually rob no bank or do nothing like that. But, you know, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's what happened, and that's why I got into the Army Reserves. So yeah. So I mean, there's gonna be more videos coming on other Army stuff. So I mean, let me know if there's any other like Army stuff you guys want to know, or anything in general. So that's it for this one. So, you know, this has been Raymond J times infinity. I'm just a simple guy with infinite possibilities. So we'll see you guys in the next video.